It being 6 o'clock and a quorum being present, I will call to order the January 17th Planning Commission meeting. And I would ask you all to rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to God, one nation. I welcome everyone to this evening's meeting, and we do have 2 new planning commissioners. So I will do the introduction, and then we will come back and ask our 2 new planning commission members if you would like to give us a few words about themselves. To my right on the end is Commissioner Joe Morrison, and then we have Lewis Taw, and then Commissioner Wayne Wright, Commissioner Seth Bailey, and I'm Beth Ashby. I am the current chair of the Planning Commission. And then we've got Commissioner Tyler McCloskey, and then we have on our staff people present are Jim Fisk and Sean. I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Right.
And then we have our Community Development Director, Nick Bond, and the intern, Paul Faulkner. Okay, and with that, I will ask our 2 new Planning Commission members if they would like to, say a few words. Wayne, I'm starting from.
Sure, thanks, Wayne Wright. I've lived in the Port Orchard area since 1985. At present, I am retired for the last couple of years, although I still do a little bit of freelance work to stay busy. I'm a Fisheries and Wetland Scientist, trained and certified for 40+ years. So I've worked for almost every city, county, and jurisdiction in Washington and most of the states of the United States. I want to give back. I live in the Farmer Woods and got the call that we can have a commissioner from there. I threw my hat in and we got 2 of us, so I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to the Critical Areas update and the Cropland update. That's one of my specialties.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Wayne. My name is Lewis. I'm a 23-year-old homeowner in McCormick Village. I'm currently a product manager in tech, so I strategize what to build for my company. Also, I manage a team of engineers. So I also minored in real estate, and I thought that my analytical skills were transferable, and my interest in real estate were transferable to setting up this. Always wanted to be part of the Planning Commission. I look at what we're doing. I always look at the content for fun. So I just thought that why not do this?
It is riveting reading. It is. There's no doubt about that. Thank you. And now it's time for any audience comments or testimony. There is no one in the building joining us in person this evening. Do we have anyone online, Paul?
One person.
And are they wishing to give public comment at this time? This would not be for our public hearing.
They did not seem to be raising their hand.
With that, I will close the audience comment section and move on down the agenda to the approval of minutes for the October 3rd meeting. And this is going to get a little tricky in that the good news is there are 4 of us present who can vote for the minutes for the October 3rd meeting. So it would be nice if we had a motion and a second from one of the 3 of you. Okay?
I'll make a motion to approve the October.
Thank you. Is there a second, Chuck?
Second.
Thank you. And so I will just do a roll call. Joe, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the October 3rd. And your vote would be?
5.
Stephanie? For confirmation. Oh, it was a negative. Okay, we can still, I believe it's still 1, 2. I will vote yes, and Tyler vote yes. So Annette is not here. She was the fourth at that meeting. So we have 3 out of the 4 who attended the meeting. Yes, so I'm going to say those.
I concur.
Okay, and then when we move on to the meeting minutes for December, we did not have a quorum. There were only 3 of us in attendance. So I'm feeling if the 3 in attendance voted to approve the minutes, they would be approved. So I would ask the same thing. I would like the motion in the second to come from the commissioners who were present. You were the only.
Oh, just checking, Tyler. Second.
So it has been moved and seconded to approve the December 5th meeting minutes. Joe, how did you vote?
Aye.
And I will vote yes also on that. So the minutes from the December 5th meeting, I believe, are approved. The 3 commissioners to in favor. We might want to check that with Brandy, but I don't know how else to do.
May I ask a question? I watched all of those.
Then you could vote
I
yes.
watched them all, so I would approve it.
Okay. Okay. That would give us a quorum. That's excellent. Thank you. Moving on down the agenda, we have a presentation for our 2024 comprehensive plan periodic update. And I believe that's you, Mr. Fisk.
Good evening, Professor, for the record. Tonight we're providing a brief update on the ongoing work related to the 2024 comprehensive plan periodic update. Part of this process, our team, in collaboration with our consultant, HBL, has been working to meet the deadlines set by the Washington State Department of Commerce for the Year 2 periodic update grant. We've successfully completed key tasks, including the gap analysis, public participation in planning. We held some public outreach events and we completed commission report. Looking ahead, we've outlined a schedule of public workshops and delivery of draft comprehensive plan elements. These elements are set to be complete in draft form and submitted to the Washington Department of Commerce by mid-June 2024. For your awareness, we will be presenting all required elements to the Planning Commission for review and feedback over the next few months and holding some workshops. The timeline for element delivery and workshops will be provided in the packet. Later this month, we anticipate the delivery of the introduction and the economic development and utilities elements. Staff will review the drafts and provide the initial draft to the Planning Commission for feedback. Each draft element should be reviewed by the Planning Commission. Staff will also share the draft elements with the appropriate City Council subcommittees. For instance, it is staff's intent to share the draft economic development element with the Planning Commission next month, subsequently discuss it with the Economic Development and Tourism Committee. Staff will then provide that feedback to our consultant. I want to emphasize that there is no action required by the Planning Commission tonight. We appreciate your continued support and look forward to your valuable feedback in the upcoming months. Thank you.
Does the commission, do any commissioners have any questions on the process for the comprehensive plan or the expectations over the next 5 months? Wayne?
I do. I noticed there's be a workshop scheduled for late March, and I might be out of town, but I'd be willing to Zoom into that if it's a Zoomable thing, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be participatory by Zoom or not.
We haven't outlined the specifics of it, but that's certainly something we can discuss.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone else? Joe, you? Or not? Okay, I'm looking forward to it. So it looks like our February agenda will be have some robust discussion on it, with 3 elements coming forward. And then moving on down the agenda, we have a public hearing on the McCormick Woods Overlay District 4-plex building type. And again, this is, I believe, Mr. Fisk.
Just for the record, In 2021, the city adopted the McCormick Village Overlay District to implement the McCormick Village Sub-Area Plan. These regulations, POMC 20.38.2 to 20.38.280, provide the development regulations applicable to the neighborhood core of the sub-area. Part of the regulations specify the types of buildings that may be constructed in the overlay district and provides design requirements for each building type. Fourplex building type is omitted from the allowed building types, but it is another tool that can be used to provide more housing options for the village. After receiving direction from City Council staff developed draft regulations for fourplex building type, coordinated with the developer to ensure the regulations fit both the city and the developers. Surprisingly, the developer suggested additional code amendments related to design standards and architectural variety. Staff recognized that the reliance on different code sections for design standards and variety requirements could be potentially confusing. To clarify the regulations, staff drafted residential design standards based on the existing standards with some minor differences and recognized that buildings such as a proposed fourplex could be used to meet architectural variety standards. We've also provided some clarification of parking standards related to attached housing and clarification of the porch standards. After introduction to the Planning Commission last month, staff provided proper public notice for tonight's public hearing consistent with the requirements of POMC 20.25 on December 26, 2023. As of the date of this report, the Department of Community Development has not received any comments regarding the proposed code amendment. Proposed language to be included in the ordinance was included in your packet and are presented to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation to the City Council.
Thank you. And with that, I will open the public hearing for the McCormick Village Overlay District fourplex building types. Again, we have no one in attendance in council chambers. Is there anyone online who would like to give public comment to this public hearing?
Remote attendee is not raising his hand.
Choose to raise his hand. And not seeing that, there being no public comment, I will close this portion of the public hearing. Thank you. So, does commissioners have any comment, questions or concerns about the fourplex definitions or the fourplex proposal that's in front of us? Wayne?
I read it all several times, and Mr. Fisk and I met today to go over a couple of questions that I had. I also drove out there today and took a look around. A lot of the infrastructure is already in the ground, including some of the pads for fourplexes. So it's a pretty straightforward situation.
Louis, you live in that area, John. Do you have any comments or concerns?
I live across the street. No concerns at this time. So was the issue just a simple oversight? We never thought about it in the code.
When we developed the overlay district, it was based on kind of a concept plan that the communities provided. In that concept plan, fourplex was not contemplated. Subsequent to that, the development of the McCormick Village Overlay District, the city completed a housing action plan, identified some missing middle housing types. And then the developer actually came back to us and thought, maybe we can include a fourplex. So that really wasn't an oversight, it just wasn't a consideration at the time. Gotcha.
And I would add that the original plan included sixplexes, and so where the sixplexes were contemplated, those are now fourplexes. And I believe it's going to be a fourplex within two carriage house apartments behind the fourplex. So it's actually 6 units, but our definition of a fourplex, the building itself is a fourplex under our definition.
If I may, for transparency, Mr. Fisk and I met. Specifically, I was concerned about the overlay district. There's not a very good map available online. And if you look at the sub-area plan for the village, it shows a much larger community core, I believe is the term they use, and it's not quite the same. So we worked through those issues, and the overlay district is defined in other maps. But if you're the public and looking at this, there's a stumble window that's a reach out to somebody if you need a little help to be sure. But This only goes to that one spot right there, the village entrance right here. It does not spill too much of this. That was one of my concerns.
And thank you for, sometimes if we have questions and we talk to staff, other commissioners may have questions too, so providing that explanation is useful.
Thank you.
I had a question that isn't direct to this, but I thought I read in somewhere that there was a square footage of 2,500 square feet or something for one of the lots. And my question was, having read some of the pending legislative action in Olympia and cities being required to allow lots to split, and those lots were going to be a minimum of or 2,000 square feet. I was wondering how that was going to impact any of the work that we've done here.
Well, that is something that we're going to have to address over the next year or so. I believe the deadline for implementing that is corresponding with our comprehensive plan update. However, with this project already being in construction, this is more of an interim fix. What I sat on a committee through the Department of Commerce that wrote a model code for implementing this new House bill on middle housing. And what they're introducing and how Seattle has handled this is they have something called unit lot subdivisions. So you have a lot, and then there are unit lots within that overall lot. And so our code essentially does something equivalent where depending on the building type, you can have these smaller unit lots, but we're going to have to add the definition of unit lot and differentiate between the site area, which is our minimum lot size, and then the unit lot size, and distinguish between those two things in our code. However, there's also the legislation included that cities can petition the Department of Commerce for equivalency. So if we've already done the things the law requires for all intents and purposes, they can give us a waiver, basically say, no, you already comply with this intent. We're not going to make you rewrite your code to do essentially the same thing that you already do. And so we're trying to determine whether it makes more sense to follow the model that most people in the state are going to adopt, or whether we want to see this waiver and stick to it. So we'll be evaluating that in the coming year. And I think, Jim, we did get a $50,000 grant to implement that one. Is that right? Is that the grant that just approved?
Yes.
So yeah, we have some money to put towards this effort to update the middle housing, to update our code to comply with the middle housing statute. So it's something that we're going to dive into here in the near future.
And I realize that is independent from the action we're taking this evening, but it came to my mind as with that, is there any more questions or comments on the moving forward with this overlay district for flexibility types? Seeing none, we would entertain a motion.
I move to recommend the City Council approve an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code Section 20.38.225, 20.38.230, 20.38.240, and 20.38.270, and the addition of sections 20.38.285 and 20.38.290 as presented.
Is there a second? Thank you, Wayne. It has been moved. Is there further discussion on the motion? It has been moved and seconded to recommend the City Council to approve the ordinance as stated. Is there anyone who would be voting against this motion? I will ask the second time. Is there anyone who would be voting against this motion? Hearing none, the motion passes with unanimous consent. How quickly we're getting through this tonight. Yeah, and now we have Nick's director's report.
We don't have much to report tonight, although this is Sean's first meeting. I'll give him a little introduction. Sean came to us from Orlando, Florida, and he's got a master's in both planning and public administration. And so he was excelling in his first planning job with what was the name of the city? Wildwood, which is a suburb of Orlando, and packed up and moved across the country and has just since he arrived. So welcome, Sean. And I also was going to mention that Jim Fisk has been promoted to principal planner. He is now managing the other planners in the department, and so he's moved into more of a middle management role for the city, and that's a great relief to me because I'm stretched too thin, and it was hard to continue to supervise as many people as I've been supervising with the growth that our city has seen and how much our department has had to grow as a result of all the development activities. So in his new role, you will be seeing him probably without me at some meetings as he takes on more of a leadership role of this project. I expect he'll still sit in at least 6 or so meetings this year.
Is there anything else? Does anyone have any questions about staff at all?
I just want to say welcome, Sean. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll ask an off-topic question to staff. Just have you heard about whether anybody in Port Orchard is interested in implementing a TIF district?
You're talking tax increment financing?
Yeah.
So we've had some discussions about how that might work, and right now we have not seen a completed TIF anywhere in Washington that we have sort of playbook to look at and see how it was structured and how it was set up. Last time I checked was 6 months ago, and so people may be further along getting these punch. We didn't want to be the guinea pig on trying this out for the first time. But we've talked about either the Bethel corridor or downtown Port Orchard as potentially being TIF districts in the city. Those seem to be the areas that would make the most sense in terms of implementing that. But we really wanted to see it modeled by somebody else that had a little bit more horsepower in their legal and staff department to get that set up and kind of use it as a model.
Thank you. So just for the fellow commissioners, tax increment financing district, essentially, it's pretty complicated, but it provides a sort of holiday to developers in an area where those revenues are set aside, which can kind of create an incentive for development and improving it. It's something like a tax holiday. And then the revenues are taken for future increases in the value of the property, so it cancels out. I'm not a TIF expert, but that's like the broad strokes kind of how it works, and it works a little differently in Washington than it does in other states. So I just wanted to check. We have areas of our city that could use improving, and I understand why you would like to see somebody else walk that road. I get it.
Yeah, and we, with Home Depot coming in the Bethel corridor, we have a plan to fund phase 1 of the Bethel corridor, and we could go to the voters and potentially fund the following phase, but we don't have the ability to fully finance that project within 20 years. We don't have any ability to touch Sedgwick. We're sort of waiting on the state to do that, or waiting for a grant to come along that would make that happen. But I think the idea of doing a TIF benefit area that is basically east of Blackjack Creek and north of the Milo roundabout out of the city limits to the east and south would make sense, because any value that gets added to that as a result of building road improvements, we have to bond road improvements to fix Bethel, but we can tackle that a lot faster in bigger chunks than we're currently prepared to do. But I'm still, the way that you explained it and the way that I've heard it explained, don't even necessarily align for me in terms of how it's been talked about. And I did understand the property tax benefit. I haven't heard about a tax holiday. I've only heard that you're basically borrowing against the future assessed value that's added to the area, and so they are going to continue to pay tax at the current rates, and then as value gets added, that's where you're bonding.
That's a more accurate description. You get locked in at the lower rate, your tax against that.
And I had, in my mind, I didn't realize it was for the developer. It was for the city or the municipality to put in infrastructure. Had been,
right.
The roads and the other things that you may need, and then it would be paid for with future revenue from, again, the increased value of the property.
Yeah, that may be a feature of the Washington Code. like this program is to incentivize redevelopment with developers. And other communities. But Washington is typically more restricted.
For some reason, Nick, it seems to me Ridgefield or Ridge something down in Southwest Washington is used because the idea has been available in the state a couple of different times under a couple of different names. And it seems to me Wenatchee or Yakima or somebody also did something with it. And again, both of these projects were several years ago.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone's done it under this iteration, or that I don't know who might be working on it, but it is very different from other states that use a sales tax-based tax increment finance district where, for instance, where my parents live, if you walk into the wrong target, you end up paying 60% sales tax, not knowing it because they're in the TIF district.
Okay.
So that's how that works elsewhere.
And this is real estate tax.
This is the property tax, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thanks.
I also, because just to be off topic again, I read the city of Port Angeles received a Department of Commerce grant to work on affordable housing. And if you go to their website and their affordable housing page, they have a few elements to their program, but one is they have some affordable housing designs that are permit ready, so that the developers can just come in if they're using that design as permit ready. And in many under certain circumstances, they are waiving the permit fees, not your hookup fees or any of those types. But anyway, I just didn't know if we could look at any of those types.
And actually, the KRCC, Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council, right now they're gathering information about all of our ADU codes because we are looking to do something like that for ADUs. But with the building code set to change in March, we didn't want to work on that under these building codes. We wanted to make sure that they would be ready for future building codes. I didn't talk to Councilmember Chang because he built this tape. Would you be interested in sharing your ADU plans so that they could be available following other people? So he's open to it, but he doesn't actually love the design. But yeah, we are talking about that as a county trying to develop plans, but we need to understand how the design standards vary between jurisdictions, and then also just make sure we have plans that meet the 2021.
I know these things are complex beyond the little bit of work I did, but it just seemed like one city had taken some grant money and had come up with some workable solutions for their community. So, is there anything else for the good of the commission this evening? If not, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.